Is Jesus right or left? In politics, I mean. So first let's remember a bit what it is, globally, to be right. Be right. Globally, it is rather to be for the order, the righteousness, on the moral level it is to be for the honor, the surpassing of oneself. At the political level, we are going to say that it is rather to favor companies so that they earn money and so everyone will be enriched. To be left is rather to be for freedom, spontaneity in morality. Someone who will be left will respect the individuality of the one who is in front of him, be extremely tolerant. In politics, it is rather someone who will favor the worker, so the social helpers by saying that the companies tend to loot it. And so, one might ask, is Jesus right or left? Well, the first thing to remember is that Jesus did not get involved in politics. He says it in Matthew 22-21, at a given moment, he is asked to pay the tax to Caesar, he says, "What's on the room? Caesar, well, give to Caesar what is Caesar's, and to God what is God's." Jesus came to preach the doctrine of eternal salvation. Obviously, in politics there are things that will concern salvation, namely that if we behave unjustly, that we crush the poor, we leave him in misery, it is obvious that we commit a serious sin and the cry of the poor in misery cry to God. So concretely, in the political field, where it would be necessary to decide, is Jesus, or rather one will say his church, rather of right or left? Well, I would say that Jesus took what was good in the values of the right. We need order, we need discipline, we need to go beyond ourselves. On the other hand, it is economics that companies can work, that they are not stifled completely by social charges. And Jesus took what was true on the side of the left, namely that it takes freedom, the man is not made only to surpass himself, for a will that is honest in itself, he also needs to spontaneity, a certain pleasure in his activities. But it is also necessary, I would say, of attention to the individuality of the other. In economics, if we do not pay attention to the workers, I will say that we work with men, and that they are men we must help. It is not the wealth in itself that counts, but they are men, and of course if we forget that we get lost. Result, what to say? Well, Jesus is neither right nor left, he takes values in their complementarity, because man has a dimension of right, a dimension of left, which are inseparable. The extreme right as the extreme left, which are, I would say, absolutes on one side and negations on the other, come from the devil who divides into man dimensions that are united. As men and women did, well, the right and the left are part of the dimensions of man. So, concretely, things are going well, but then he would not mix right and left to make a kind of mixed that would be a sort of centrism. Would not Jesus be centrist? And it's true that Christian parties usually have been more centrist. There is some truth in that, because indeed in the field of politics we need a lot of compromise. It is not the realm of the absolute, politics, but often a field that rounds the angles so that people can live properly. And so, we add social laws, a little bit, to prevent companies from getting too rich and workers to be too poor, but at the same time, we reduce social charges because companies cannot blow. So, it is a subtle balance that politics, in a sense, could be said to be centrist in the purely economic field, in the social field. But that in the moral domain, it is neither centrist nor right nor left, it seeks instead to exalt values that complement each other, such as truth and love.